Join the NAN Youth Huddle back in person Monday, February 23rd for a domestic violence awareness forum with the Sisters in Purple at 6:30 p.m. at the House of Justice Temporary Office located at 361 West 125th Street on the 6th floor in Harlem. Get into the action and join us at the huddle. Tune in to MS Now's Politics Nation with Al Sharpton every Saturday and Sunday at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, live on MS Now. Here are some announcements to keep you in the know for Saturday, February 21st. Remembering Reverend Jesse L. Jackson, Sr. Reverend Sharpton and National Action Network mourn the immense loss of Reverend Jesse Jackson this week. When Reverend Sharpton was just 12 years old, he was first introduced to Reverend Jackson, who became his mentor and a father figure almost immediately. Reverend Jackson appointed a teenage Sharpton as youth director of Operation Breadbasket in Brooklyn, the economic arm of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which was founded by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This would serve as the foundation for Reverend Sharpton's journey, leading to the eventual formation of National Action Network itself. For more than 6 decades, Reverend Jackson served as a divining force of conscience and moral clarity, continuously fighting for equality, inclusion, and justice for all. He had 2 historic runs for presidency, expanded the electorate, normalized Black leaders seeking the highest office in the land, negotiated the release of hostages, was respected on the global stage and admired by both the young and old. His Rainbow Coalition did just that. It united people across racial, social, economic, gender, and geographic lines for a movement of solidarity. Reverend Jackson and Reverend Sharpton shared one of the most enduring partnerships in the modern civil rights movement. In addition to the mentorship and guidance, Reverend Jackson was also godfather to Reverend Sharpton's daughters, Dominique and Ashley. He prayed over them when they were just infants. He spoke life into them as young girls. He will be deeply missed by the Sharpton family and the entire National Action Network family. Today, our weekly action rally is dedicated to the iconic Reverend Jesse L. Jackson Sr. Let us honor his memory together with love, conviction, and unity, just as he would have wanted. NAN Convention 2026 is almost here. As we process the loss of Reverend Jesse Jackson, all of us at National Action Network vow to continue the work, fighting for civil rights and equality, paying homage to his memory by carrying on the legacy. To that end, NAN will be convening people from around the country and from overseas for our annual convention that will be taking place April 8th through the 11th at the Sheraton New York Times Square Hotel. NAN 2026 will be one for the history books as we celebrate 35 strong years of fighting for justice. This year's convention theme is straightening out tricks in 2026. This will educate, inform, and inspire attendees at a time when there are too many evil schemes taking place right here with our voting rights, to obtain fair housing, employment, and attacking every measure of progress. We must protect our hard-won gains. We must protect marginalized communities, and we must protect our rights and democracy itself. NAN 2026 once again brings together elected officials from around the nation, educators, civil rights leaders, advocates, community organizers, entertainers, youth voices, and so much more. At a time when voting rights are under attack, immigration raids are spreading fear, and Black history is being erased, this year's theme calls us to confront deception, defend hard-fought freedoms, and organize with clarity, courage, and purpose. From policy to protest, faith to forward, Strategy NAN 2026 will unite leaders, organizers, and community voices yet again. Together, we will keep hope alive. Registration for National Action Network's 2026 convention is free, but you must register. For more information, please visit our website at www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Welcome to all of you who have tuned in and joined us also via live stream at www.nationalactionnetwork.net and also live on Facebook at National Action Network. If this is your first time joining us or if you are not a member of NAN, we welcome you to NAN, invite you to join us and get into the action today. For more information and to join, you may visit our website, call 877-626-4651, or text the word NAN, N-A-N, to 59769. Welcome. Let us now welcome Change Choir soloist Tisha Hunter under the direction of our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson. Cause the Lord is my shepherd. I have everything I need. He lets me rest in the meadow's grass, and He leads me beside the quiet stream. This morning, we have gathered together to honor the life of Reverend Jesse L. Jackson Sr. And we have some of the finest New York public officials that are here today to bring remarks to us in honoring his life. We ask that Congressman Adriano Espaillat come forth, and we would like to remind each of the speakers that you have 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Good morning, church. Thank you for giving me 5 minutes to speak.
Be funny.
Good morning. This is a celebration of life. A celebration of life. Of someone who was at the forefront of a movement that has been life-changing for all of us, and that has changed and authored its own chapter of history. And so Reverend Sharpton is here. He's uniting all of us to really lift the name of Reverend Jesse Jackson to where it needs to be, at the pinnacle, the mountaintop of history, right here in Harlem, the capital of the African diaspora in the world. So we're here to ask the Lord to pray for his family and to pray for all of us, because we're all shaken by his departure, but his body may be left, but his spirit is right here among all of us. And yes, he was there from the very beginning and will continue to be there. And we can look at his teachings and resort to them in times of challenge and sorrow. Reverend Jesse Jackson. Yes, black is beautiful. Yes, we will keep faith and move forward together in English and in Spanish, in Espanol. So as we move forward, let's go to that well where all the residues there of goodwill and the teaching strengthen us every morning so we can continue to push ahead and make sure that the world is a better place for all of us. And it starts right here in Harlem, church. God bless you. And as the great Adam Clayton Powell Jr. used to say, keep the faith, baby.
Next, we will hear from New York City Council Speaker Julie Minion.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here today. And I first of all want to thank Reverend Sharpton and National Action Network for always bringing us together in these times. I want to thank we've got many colleagues in government. I'm going to call out the council members. I want to thank our council member, Yusuf Salam, who is over here. Council member Salam is going to be leading our new committee to combat hate, which is so important right now. And I want to thank my colleague, Council Member Rita Joseph, who is here as well, the chair of our Higher Education Committee. So I know that that in the last week, many have turned to the inspiring remarks of Reverend Jackson to remind ourselves of his indelible legacy, and I would like to do the same. He said, "We must turn to each other and not on each other, and we must choose higher ground." These words were not rhetorical flourishes. They were instructions to all of us. At our time when our country is drowning in hate and division, the passing of a hero such as Reverend Jackson unites us when we need it the most. In every line and letter of Reverend Jackson's life, in every single speech he gave all across our country, you can feel his clarion call to unity. Reverend Jackson turned words into deeds, not simply because of the millions who heard them or the platform he spoke from, but the hope that they awakened and the change that they unleashed is immeasurable. His words brought together the communities of the Rainbow Coalition to conquer the injustices in our society. And I want to say, as the first Jewish speaker of the New York City Council, it is so important. I recognize something familiar in his words. Our traditions teach that faith is not passive, that repairing the world is not optional, because we are commanded to pursue justice. And Reverend Jackson lived that commandment in public in a way like no other. He built bridges across race and geography because he believed the struggle for Black dignity was inseparable from the struggle for human dignity. He organized, he marched, he ran for president at a time when many said it couldn't be done, and then he ran again. Reverend Jackson knew that only by engaging is how we make things happen. And he knew that we had to keep going, time after time, crisis after crisis, tragedy after tragedy, to make them happen. So many of Reverend Jackson's words inspire, and that's what he did. He inspired all of us. He inspired faith in ourselves. He inspired faith in others, faith in our ability to turn to each other, to choose higher ground, because he understood that in the end, faith will not disappoint. While his voice may be resting, the charge he gives us rings loudly throughout our country and throughout our city and throughout the world. Reverend Jackson's time has come, but God is not finished with him yet.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Assembly Member Jordan Wright. And just a reminder, 2 minutes.
Good morning, everybody. New York City Assembly Member Jordan Wright. I'd like to welcome all of you to the 70th Assembly District. I had the absolute honor and privilege to have met Jesse Jackson before he passed. I was able to talk with him briefly about some of the work that I was working on. Like, I was then the Chief of Staff of Councilmember Salam at the Democratic National Convention, and we had a great conversation. I might not have been alive when Reverend Jackson ran for president both times, but I absolutely am here because he ran for president both of those times. He stood for Black folks, screaming, "Run, Jesse, run." And because of that, he became a questionable icon to most of America. But to Black folks, he was doing the hard work, the essential work of our people, and he did it without nonsense. He had a tribe to represent and elevate and save from the predatory hands of modern masters. The man walked so that people like me could fly, and that is not lost on me. And I will carry the weight of Jesse Jackson with me to the Capitol, to the streets, to the senior centers, to the food pantries. We would all be fools to let the message and actions of Jesse Jackson during his prolific career loudly amongst the working careers of our native sons. Jesse Jackson was born to make bold changes in American history, changes that will outlive us all. I was born to represent this incredible village that lets me call it home. And I look forward to holding the legacy of Jesse Jackson near. I look forward to holding it dear. And I want to thank all of you for coming here to help me celebrate his legacy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We now welcome Councilmember Rita Joseph.
Give her.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Councilmember Rita Joseph of the 40th Council District in Brooklyn. We gather here today in gratitude and in reverence, grateful to Reverend Sharpton and the National Action Network for bringing us together to celebrate and honor a giant, Reverend Jesse Jackson. Reverend Sharpton, thank you for carrying the torch, for sustaining the movement, and for reminding us that the work continues. Leaders like you, Reverend Jesse Jackson, and others refuse to let it fade. Today, we honor Reverend Jesse Jackson, not only for what he did, but for what he believed was possible. Reverend Jackson taught us hope is powerful. Hope is action. Hope moves people. He shows us that hope is not fragile, it is fierce. Hope is not naive, it is necessary. Keep hope alive was never just a slogan. It was a way of living. It was discipline. It was courage. It was strategy. It was faith in action. When systems told us to wait our turn, Reverend Jesse Jackson kept hope alive. As a daughter of Haitian immigrants, his legacy is personal to me. In 1980, the Haitian refugees were seeking freedom and dignity on these shores. Reverend Jesse Jackson stood with them. He joined the refugee march. He visited Haitian detainees. He showed up when it was not popular, when it was not politically convenient, but when it was morally right. He saw them, he heard them, he fought for them. Reverend Jesse Jackson understood that our struggles are connected. Black, brown, immigrant, working class. He believed that justice anywhere strengthened justice everywhere. He built coalitions like the Rainbow Push because he knew when we come together, we are unstoppable. His leadership expanded what this nation believed was possible. He told young people that their dreams were valid. He reminded marginalized that their lives had value. And it made it clear to the powerful that accountability was not optional. Even in the moments of disappointment, he never surrendered hope. In 2013, while speaking to students at Cambridge University and Union Society in England, Reverend Jackson said, "Common grounds lead to coalition, cooperation, reconciliation, and redemption. And to a higher moral and economic ground, I want you to say to young people, especially, keep reaching beyond your grasp. Keep dreaming beyond your circumstances. Keep dreaming. When young people move, the world changes." This is the charge to us. Build common ground, build coalition, to rise to higher moral ground. And above all, to keep hope alive. May we honor Reverend Jesse Jackson, not only with beautiful words, but with bold actions. May we honor him, not only with remembrance, but renewed commitment. Let us leave here inspired, united, determined. But most importantly, let us leave here keeping hope alive. Thank you.
Thank you. Let us now welcome New York Secretary of State, Walter Mosley.
Family, on this day, we gather with heavy hearts, but also with a deep sense of gratitude to honor the life, ministry, and legacy of the late Jesse Louis Jackson. We are not only mourning a giant, we are remembering a man whose footsteps are stamped into the moral history and fabric of this nation. Reverend Jackson preached the gospel that didn't stop at the church door. He believed that faith had to show up and show out in public life, on the picket lines, in the boardrooms, at the ballot boxes, and in the streets, where everyday people fight to be seen, heard, and treated with dignity. He understood something that many still struggle with even to today. To understand that righteousness is not a private affair, nor is it to be privatized. That love is not passive, and that justice is not optional. Reverend Jackson was a bridge between generations, between movements, between the pulpit and policy, between the pain of our people and the promises we still believe in. He stood when it was hard to stand and it was costly to say certain things of his time. And he made room at the table for those who were told they didn't belong. And at this moment, when cynicism tries to overtake us, when disappointment was easy and despair felt justified, he kept calling us and pulling us back to hope. He reminded America that we are better than our worst instincts, and we are reminding our community and our people that we are stronger when we develop or take on setbacks that many believe are insurmountable. He gave language to the struggle, but also he gave fuel to our spirits. And for that, we will forever remain indebted for him, for keeping hope alive. As the Secretary of State, I have the privilege of serving communities across our great state, urban, suburban, rural, and communities that are filled with people who are seeking a better way of life, and understanding that we are in the business of nation building for all. And as I chair the Commission on African American History, I'm honored and reminded that our history is not merely what happened to us. It is what we dare to overcome, even in the odds that we face. So today, let us remember and memorialize more than just a man, but a movement that this man was a part of. And let it be a recommitment, as the councilwoman said, to what we need to do and ought to do during these times. As a recommitment to protect the vote and our dignity, to a recommitment to protect our franchise and our abilities. A commitment to confront poverty, and understanding that Jesse Jackson did not run a race merely to be elected. He ran a race to pass the baton to so many others. So, on behalf of Governor Kathy Hochul and the 20.2 million men, women, and children who make up New York State, we want to say, job well done by true officials. God bless you.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to welcome Public Advocate Jumani Williams.
Peace and blessing, love and light to everyone. Who we here to celebrate? I am somebody. I am somebody. Oh man, I know for a fact that I would not be the highest ranking black elected official in the city of New York if it was not for the Reverend Jesse Jackson. So I'm honored to be here with my colleagues. Dr. King passed the baton to Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson passed it on to Al Sharpton, and we all have to catch the baton now because there's a lot of things going on. But it is amazing what he did and the lessons that we should learn from it. Not only did he say black is beautiful, even long before we were talking about Black Lives Matter, not only did he say I am somebody, he dreamed dreams so big that people thought he was crazy. He did what he could with what he had where he was. You gotta think about running for president as a black man when he did that. What people thought about that. But when you dream so big, when you say, I'm gonna do whatever I can, even when you lose, your impact can have such great rewards for the people who come after you. So he said, I'm not doing just for me, but I know if I go out there and do everything I can, people are going to benefit. People are gonna see rewards that I may not even see. And that is a lesson that we have to learn where we are right now. I want people to dream so big that people laugh at them and then go after that dream. Because even if you fall short, the impact can be immense. It's incredible that we remember that. I'm so honored to be able to be here to celebrate Reverend Jackson. And I want to say this right before I leave, and that is I hear people talking about the missteps and mistakes of Reverend Jackson. I want us to normalize talking about our mistakes and our missteps. Because for me, if I had to look up to someone who was perfect, I may not be here. We cannot have our heroes think they have to be perfect to be heroes, to be the icons that Jesse Jackson was. He did not have to be perfect. And he allowed the black child to look up and say, even in my perfection, I can have an outsized impact on the world. So thank you, Reverend Jackson, for everything you did. And in your own words, I want to say, I'm not a perfect servant. I'm a public servant doing my best against the odds as I develop and serve. Be patient. God is not finished with me yet. Peace and blessings. Love and light to you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let us now welcome New York City Comptroller Mark Levine.
You gotta go easy on me speaking after Jamani. How significant is it that we are marking the life of Reverend Jackson in the oldest black church in New York State? Mother AME, the scene of the abolition movement and the Underground Railroad, and now led by my friend Reverend Dr. Bird. Not sure where he is, but give it up for Reverend Dr. Bird. Thank you, sir. I had the honor to meet Reverend Jackson only once. Of course, it was at a NAN convention 3 years ago. By that point, his body was ravaged by disease. He could barely walk, he could barely talk. He traveled from Chicago to Midtown Manhattan because of the strength of that man and his friendship with Reverend Sharpton. And I could tell then that despite his physical limitations, this was a strong man, full of determination, a fire in his belly. I could see it even then. This is the spirit that changed politics in America and changed politics in New York City. When he ran for president in 1988, there were people who said a black person could not win citywide in New York. He went out to build a coalition that did not exist before that campaign, of black voters, Latino voters, of progressive and liberal whites, of labor leaders, of anti-poverty activists. It was the Rainbow Coalition come to life. And when the votes were counted on primary night, they won not just in Harlem, but in Southeast Queens, and also in Latino areas of the South Bronx, and in liberal white areas of the Upper West Side. He did that, he built that. That coalition went on to elect the first black mayor of New York City 1 year later in David Dinkins. That coalition empowered leaders like the great Bill Lynch Jr., genius of politics, who emerged in that campaign. And Patrick Gaspard, still leading for our city today. And Dennis Rivera, still leading for our city today. That coalition then elected the first black man comptroller, very lofty and important job, and Bill Thompson in 2002. The Jackson Coalition went on to elect Tish James, the first black woman to be elected citywide in New York City as public advocate in 2013. That coalition elected the first black man to be public advocate in Jamani Williams in 2018, I think, 2018. And that coalition lives today. That coalition has also changed Wall Street. Do you remember Wall Street, the Wall Street project that Reverend Jackson initiated that went to boardrooms to demand more black representation, that went to executive suites to demand more representation, and I'm still fighting for those values today as your comptroller. So I am here to salute an incredible human being, a powerful movement, and to pledge to you to carry on that legacy. Rest in peace, Reverend Jackson.
Thank you. Let us now welcome Councilman Yusef Salaam.
Yusef.
I begin with the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. May the peace, mercy, and blessings from the owner of all peace, mercy, and blessings be upon each and every one of you and your families. God created us on purpose, and He created us with a purpose. Amen. Reverend Jesse Jackson's life vibrated at the highest level, and I felt it when I shook his hands. He reminds us through the call and response that we so know and hold dear in our community, through affirmations so that we can remember who we are. I used those same affirmations often while I was in prison. It was the belly of the beast, but when I started to talk life back into myself, it became the very womb of America. He taught us to tap into the Sankofa of truth by saying things like, I am somebody. Amen. So now, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams and not their nightmares. The great Reverend taught us to keep the vision of the dream alive in our minds, because if you can't see it, you can't be it. And so we are charged to carry on. We are charged to hold down the block.
Sorry.
We are charged to keep pushing forward. We are charged to be. God created us on purpose to be something and even more. God bless you.
Thank you. Let us now welcome Senator John C. Liu.
Good to be back at Mother AME. I thought I could get away with it, but the house of God. I want to thank all of you for being here to remember our hero, and I want to thank Reverend Sharpton for organizing us today on this very special occasion. A lot's been said about Reverend Jackson. I've got a little bit of a different perspective. Reverend Jackson created the Rainbow Coalition, and I'm part of that rainbow. Black, brown, and, come on, Jamana. Come on, say it. Yellow. It's okay to say it. Black, brown, and yellow. And actually many other shades and colors as well. And this coalition he built across the country. And and with his help, because I stand on his shoulders as well, with his help, I had the privilege of becoming the 43rd comptroller of New York City. Number 46, Mark Levine, he mentioned 42, Bill Thompson, he didn't mention me. I'll get you later, Mark. But as comptroller, I had worked with Reverend Jackson on many occasions as part of his Rainbow Push to pry open the tightly shut doors of Wall Street, to open up the opportunities to more than just the traditional mold of people that had those opportunities. And Reverend Jackson was able to bring in so many minority-owned firms into the Wall Street fold, thus creating wealth and opportunity for communities of color all across America, and I dare say the world. And so I'll never forget the energy, the intellect, the enthusiasm that he brought in all of his causes, and especially this one cause within the financial sector that I had the privilege of partnering with him with. And Reverend Jackson truly was a Rainbow Push leader. Just a few years ago, even when his health had deteriorated substantially, he came all the way to New York, all the way out to the far eastern reaches of Queens, my area, and came to Korean Community Services to advocate for statewide legislation that would teach the history of the Asian American Pacific Islander community. He didn't have to do that. It wasn't easy for him to do that. But he made that trek, like he made so many other voyages within the country and around the world to push for equal opportunity and to make sure every community was respected. And so I want to say that Reverend Jackson clearly has such an incredible legacy, and I'm so proud to be part of that legacy. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to have a selection coming from the Name Change Ensemble.
That's right.
Gail Brewer. Just a reminder, 2 minutes from this podium. Thank you.
2 minutes.
Thank you very much. I am Gail Brewer from the Upper West Side. And I want you to know that Reverend Jackson gave me something that others may not, which was I was an alternate delegate in 1988 for Reverend Jackson. And then met some very special people, including my friend Valerie Jo Bradley, where we went all across the 5 boroughs in support of that candidacy of Reverend Jackson. And that opportunity, I think, also gave me the opportunity later on to work with David Dinkins and for, as you heard earlier, the very great Mr. Lynch. And all of this to say that I was not part, I think, of some of his amazing activities on Wall Street, but the fact that I was a leader at the time of the National Women's Political Caucus, and the fact that I could take the women's agenda and attach it with the great work of Reverend Jackson was a kind of effort that he made and recognized what we were doing as women in the city of New York. So I thank you for that. We won. And Valerie and I went on to the convention. So I'm here to say that there are so many ways that this amazing man had an influence on people whom he did not even know he was having influence on. So I thank him for that from the bottom of my heart, because it was the first time I won any election. I lost in high school when I ran for student council. Thank you very much, Reverend Jackson. And we are always thank you in our individual ways for what you did for all of us. May you rest in peace.
Thank you. Let us now welcome Manhattan Borough President Brad Coleman Siegel.
Thank you. Good morning, Brad Coleman Siegel, Manhattan Borough President. What an honor to be here to memorialize Reverend Jesse Jackson. You know, as a young gay kid growing up in rural West Virginia, I heard that 1988 speech. I heard that 1988 speech at the Democratic National Convention when he was the first candidate on the floor of a national convention to mention gay and lesbians. Jesse Jackson was a leader, not just for Black America, but for all Americans. In my community, we also know the work he did on HIV/AIDS, spreading the word about testing, spreading the word about safety, a lesson that C. Virginia Fields from this neighborhood has carried forward time and time and time again. And I'll never forget also Reverend Jackson helped my family. He stood firm, one of the first national leaders to oppose the hateful proposition in California that would have banned same-sex marriage. It was Reverend Jackson who stood up for my community. So I want to thank Reverend Jackson. I want to thank Reverend Sharpton and Nan, and I want to wish that Reverend Jackson's memory be a blessing. Thank you very much.
Let us now welcome Councilmember Crystal Hudson.
Good morning. I am so proud to represent a district in the city council, but many people today don't know their own history. And I know whose shoulders I stand on. It's not just those of Attorney General Tish James, whose district I now represent in the city council, and who reminds me that I quite literally have to stand on her shoulders to be seen. It's not just those of Shirley Chisholm or David Dinkins or those of C. Virginia Fields or Bill Thompson, Charlie Rangel or Percy Sutton, Adrian Adams, Roger Green, Dr. Una Clark or Al Van, and so many of the other folks who've been named today. But it is the mighty, mighty shoulders of folks like Reverend Jesse Jackson, who quite literally paved the way for an out gay Black woman like myself to be elected. And for me, as the parent of a 2.5-year-old, I found solace in watching the video of Reverend Jackson on Sesame Street from 1972. And it's also how I've explained to my 2.5-year-old who he was. And to dozens of children of all races, all creeds, and all nationalities, sitting side by side on Sesame Street, he proclaims, "I am somebody. I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody. I may be young, but I am somebody. I may be small, but I am somebody. I may make a mistake, but I am somebody. My clothes are different. My face is different. My hair is different, but I am somebody. I am Black, brown, white, speak a different language, but I must be respected, protected, never rejected. I am God's child. I am somebody." Rest in power, Reverend Jackson. Thank you.
At this time, we're going to welcome Congressman Daniel Goldman.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here today to remember such an icon to so many of us. And I want to thank the Rev for bringing us all together to pay tribute to this civil rights movement leader, Reverend Jesse Jackson. In Congress, I'm blessed to serve with Reverend Jackson's son, Jonathan, who will and does proudly carry forward his legacy. It's really impossible to put into words what an extraordinary leader Reverend Jackson was. From marching on Selma to shining a light on critical social issues, to laying the groundwork for so many of our progressive leaders, Reverend Jackson was a monumental force for progress, who empowered everyone to fight for what is right, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. He led by example. He showed us that faith isn't just about introspection or family, but recognizing that all people are born in God's image and therefore deserve equality and justice. He is one of the many civil rights icons who inspired me to join the fight, to go to law school in the hopes of becoming the next Jack Greenberg, the Jewish leader of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund for more than 2 decades. As a Jewish New Yorker and the grandson of immigrants who fled persecution and sought refuge in this country, I think often of Reverend Jackson and his leadership. Jewish and Black Americans have always been connected through our shared history of discrimination. And while there have been some bumps in the road, Reverend Jackson's open heart and fidelity to God continued to strengthen that bond. And I'm grateful that Reverend Sharpton has picked up that baton during these trying times. I think often of Reverend Jackson's image of America as a patchwork quilt. America is not like a blanket, he said. One piece of unbroken cloth, the same color, the same texture, the same size. Instead, America is more like a quilt. Many patches, many pieces, many colors, many sizes, all woven and held together by a common thread. To me, that thread is our perpetual quest to leave our country better than it was before, and to ensure that every person, no matter their background or their ethnicity, or their religion has the opportunity to enjoy all that this country has to offer. Now, right now, someone in 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is trying to tear apart our nation's quilt, is using hateful and racist rhetoric, sowing seeds of division, sending armed masked agents into our cities to separate immigrant families who came to this country for the same reason my grandparents did, in search of a better life and that American dream. And at times like this, when there is so much hatred and cruelty coming from the top, it's easy to lose faith. It's easy to throw in the towel and give up. But as Reverend Jackson will remind us if he were here today, we must never surrender. America will get better and better. Keep hope alive. And so, guided by Reverend Jackson, we must all continue to fight together with all that we've got to restore the promise upon which this country was founded, of being that shining beacon of hope for your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. May Reverend Jackson's memory be both a blessing and a guide as we bend that arc towards a future with equality and justice for all, and one that would make him so proud. May you rest in peace.
Thank you. Let us now welcome the Name Change Choir under the direction of our musical director, Minister Tyrone Richardson. From 107.5 WBLS. Let us now welcome our president and founder, the Reverend Dr. Al Sharpton.
No justice. No justice. No justice. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? When do we want it? When do we want it? Shake hands with the person next to you, tell them you love them.
in the office in the back to some of us gathering that I remember in 1972, a Black woman from Brooklyn ran for president of the United States. Her name was Shirley Chisholm. And I remember riding around with Miss C and Ada Smith and Victor Robles. And I wasn't even old enough to vote yet. I was 17 going on 18. And when I turned 18, it was the first year they let 18-year-olds vote. And they said this one was crazy thinking about running for president. But she ran unbought and unbossed. And 10, 20 years later, from 72 to 84, Reverend Jackson ran. And they said that was ridiculous. And then 20 years after that, Barack Obama became the president. The struggle is not an overnight win. The struggle goes to those that keep fighting, that look at defeat and say, I'm gonna keep on anyhow. And we come in the name of Jesse Louis Jackson to say that if you hold on, your change will come. Several years ago, 5 young men were put in jail for something they didn't do, coerced into a confession. One of their mothers called me and said my son didn't do it. We went down and stood with them. Wasn't many of us. It was some of us didn't get along, but we agreed on that. Bill Perkins, Lon McGrath, all us down there marched for those boys. People castigated us, but we stood by those boys. There was a businessman in New York, never opened his mouth about Howard Beach. When Michael Griffith was killed in Howard Beach, which was the next neighborhood to Jamaica Estates where this businessman grew up, never opened his mouth. Never said nothing about Yusef Hawkins in Bensonhurst, where they threw eggs at us and watermelons. Man stabbed me one Saturday morning leaving the march. They never said a word. But he took ads out in the newspaper saying, bring back the death penalty to execute these 5 young men. But every Saturday morning, I walk out the Saturday rally and I look at the front row and see them young men have been exonerated. 2 of them here this morning. Know that even when it looks dark, raise your hand, Terry White, Yusef Salam. If you hold on, if you hold out, the race isn't given to the swift, nor to the strong, but to those that can endure to the end. Hold on, your change will come. National Action Network, change quiet, give them a big hand. Give them a big hand. Say we're happy to be with you another Saturday morning for the Saturday Action Rally, and for you that are here live at Mother AME Zion Church, and for you that are listening live on WBLS 107.5 in New York, you that are watching us on Impact Television worldwide, and you that are watching on nationalactionnetwork.net or on YouTube/NAM. we're happy to be with you another Saturday to give our report on where the action is. And this week is a special memory, I don't like to say memorial, for our patron saint, the Reverend Jesse Louis Jackson. Last time Reverend Jackson spoke in New York, he spoke at NAM. One Saturday morning, some of you were there. We had to help him on the stage. And it is appropriate that we do this memorial today. We're going to hear from some that have their view, and I'm certainly grateful for you that have already spoken. Our public advocate, Jemani Williams, and our city council president, Julie Menon, and our congressman, SBI. And as many have already spoken, our controller, Mark Levine, and I'm gonna get in trouble so I don't call somebody's name. Jordan Wright, I got to call John name. I got to live. But let me also say that I met Reverend Jackson in 1968. My mother brought me to Bishop Washington, and he was my pastor. She was upset that I was enticed with watching the news, Adam Clayton Powell. And she wanted Bishop Washington to tell me, as I was a boy preacher in Washington, to stay out of the world politics, Bishop Taylor. And Bishop Washington said at that time, on President Street in Brooklyn, 2 blocks, all the big preachers lived. And we in Bishop Washington's house, he said, I know what to do. He took us across the street and knocked on Bill Jones' door, Reverend William Augustus Jones. And Reverend Jones opened the door and he said, Bill, I want you to help me out. This is Sharpton. He said, yeah, I know the boy preacher. He said, yeah. He said, his mama's here and she worried he gonna leave the church. And Bill Jones said, I know what to do with him. We'll make him our youth director. The young folks will follow him. And they made me youth director. And his daughter now is the vice chairman of our board, Stand Up, Jennifer Jones Austin. And one of the social scientists of our time is Jenny Jones Austin. Nobody knows wealth gap and inequality better. And that about a month later, they opened the breadbasket office in over Carver Savings Bank on Fulton Street near No Street. And they cut the ribbon that night. Reverend John Scott, who was our executive director, Jesse was wearing a leather jacket. And that's me, the little boy in the middle, when I was just 13 years old when they cut the ribbon. I went from there to here, where Reverend Jackson and I spent the last Christmas. But every Christmas we used to go spend with the Jackson family. And the last 2 Christmases, after we fed the people here at the House of Justice, I got my daughters and we would go into the airport. We'd fly to Chicago and spend the evening with Reverend Jackson. 5 weeks ago was his last Christmas and we were there. So it's been a long journey. And that's why a lot of people you're gonna hear from over the next few days was not there for the journey.
Come on now. That's it.
Everybody that made the celebration, you know, a lot of folk like to go to the resurrection and miss the crucifixion. So I want us to know Reverend Jackson was a freedom fighter. And he never stopped fighting, never stopped marching. That's why when he come to New York, he would head right to our organization. He was at our last 3 conventions, stayed the whole time. I said, nice of you to come in. He said, I'm gonna be here till it's over. And he was, even in the wheelchair. And I remember that, and we're gonna talk about it tonight on Politics Nation, my show, 5 o'clock Eastern, on MSNOW, MS Now. I'm gonna have Jesse Jackson Jr. on, I'm gonna have Hakeem Jeffries on. We're gonna talk about this animal deal with y'all's president. Got beat up a little bit in the Supreme Court. Every once in a while, God has a way of Well, I'm not gonna talk about it yet. But watch at 5 o'clock, and then tomorrow Mercury and others will be on. I'll be on it every Saturday and Sunday, 5 o'clock. It is Jenny's favorite show. She don't never miss it. Till I learned that she records it and watches it later. Her kids say she didn't see it, she watched the re-record. But in 1983, Jesse Jackson said, somebody ought to run for president from our community. Why did he say that? Well, because there had been the campaign in Chicago for mayor of the city. And at that time, Richard Daley was running against the incumbent. And the incumbent and Richard Daley got decided he was gonna run in the race, and I'm trying to think her name, who was the incumbent mayor at that time. Mondale and Kennedy came in and endorsed the opponents. And that's when they said we need to run a black for mayor. They went to Harold Washington, who was then a congressman, and asked Harold to run. Harold said, I'm in Congress, I'm comfortable, I'm not gonna do that. They kept pressing. Finally, he said, if y'all raise $250,000 and register 50,000 new voters, I'll run. And they came back and they had raised $500,000 and had registered 100,000 new voters. Harold won, ran and won. He's 83. Jackson said, now we need to get a black to run for president and be competitive in the primary. He went to Maynard Jackson, who was mayor of Atlanta, wouldn't run. Went to Coleman Young in Detroit, wouldn't run. Went around, and as he was moving around, people started saying, why don't you run? And people started to chant, run, Jesse, run. And when he decided to run, and he came to New York, he could not become one that was embraced by the political establishment. He had to go to the outside, who they considered outside. And his base was right there in Bed-Stuy. Al Van, Roger Green. Because the Harlem politicians had already gone with Mondale. I was there. Reverend Herbert Daughtry. Where's Reverend Daughtry? He Reverend Herbert, y'all get a check with Reverend Daughtry. When y'all lost your mind, got Reverend Daughtry. It's fine. They gave him a base, and he had no troops on the ground, and he had one labor group that would be progressive, because everybody in labor wasn't always progressive.
Amen to that.
And we would find headquarters at 1199 with Dennis Rivera. Stand up, Dennis Rivera. When our movement was homeless, Dennis Rivera gave us a home. And one of the young guys running around with Dennis Rivera and them became one of the factors in American political life and international diplomacy. He grew up to become the political director to Barack Obama's White House and ambassador to South Africa, stand-up Ambassador Patrick Gaspar. Out of that Bed-Stuy political organization. Didn't have no money for commercials, but we had the baddest producer, director in the world. put a commercial together for Jesse Jackson 84 Spike Lee. And out of that fertile ground, Shirley Chisholm went on, but we produced another unbought, unbossed black woman. Don't scratch where she don't itch. Don't sit down when she can stand up. I want to bring on first the State Attorney General of the state of New York, State Attorney General Tish James.
I think it's disgraceful that Speaker Johnson would not allow Reverend Jesse Jackson to lie in state Washington, D.C. Absolutely disgraceful. And it's an honor and a privilege, as we talked about yesterday's decision, that I, along with 11 Democratic attorneys general, filed a lawsuit that halted the imposition of the IEEPA tariffs, which would have had a major impact on Americans and New Yorkers because it was in violation of the Constitution, violation of the separation of powers, because that power is delegated to Congressmember Esfiat and Congressmember Dan Golden from the borough of Brooklyn and Manhattan. And that's why we decided to stand up and to let them know that they have the power and not the President of the United States. And it's also an honor and a privilege as we celebrate Bedford Stuyvesant to be here with my council member Crystal Hudson. He was the voice of the unheard, the voice of those who have historically been locked out of the sunshine of opportunity. He was a gentleman who once said, leaders must be tough enough to fight, tender enough to cry, human enough to make mistakes, and humble enough to admit when they are wrong, strong enough to absorb pain, and resilient enough to bounce back and to keep on going. Those are the words of the late Reverend Jesse Jackson. He was somebody, and the reason why I am somebody, because he was somebody. And I want to thank Mr. Rivera for all that he has done. I want to thank Ruben Diaz, the former borough president of the Bronx, for all that he has done. And I want to thank him, obviously, for joining me in so many rallies. And of course, his father, who is here as well. And we love you, Reverend Diaz. God prays for you every day. Reverend Jackson called any theology that excuses cruelty to the poor, to immigrants, or the oppressed to heresy. He brought moral clarity in difficult times and believed in the wisdom of King Solomon's words. Open your mouth for the speechless in the cause of all who are appointed to die. Open your mouth and judge righteousness and plead the cause of the poor and the needy. At this point in time, I'm going to defer my comments because I want all of you to meet and to hear from the daughter of Al Van. As all of you know, I worked for Al Van for 11 years. Al Van was my mentor. He was my boss, but he was also the president, the chairperson of the campaign for Jesse Jackson when he ran for president in the state of New York. She recently found all of these books and letters in the home that she shared with her dad. And she wrote a powerful article yesterday in a Brooklyn magazine. And so I hope that you do not find it robbery if you allow her to say a few words. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the podium, Ms. Binta Van.
Good morning and thank you. Whew. My name is Binta Van. I am the daughter of the late Dr. Albert Van. He was a Brooklyn educator, a state assemblyman, and the man at Reverend Jackson. approached and trusted to run his 1984 presidential campaign in the state of New York. Today, I want to honor Reverend Jackson by telling a piece of this story that Brooklyn knows and that the rest of the world deserves to hear. Their story began in 1972 in Gary, Indiana, at the National Black Political Convention. Reverend Jackson delivered a keynote that electrified the crowd, telling the crowd not to wait for permission to grow Black political power. My father heard him, and he went home to Brooklyn, and he spent the next decade doing just that. So by 1983, my father had been in the assembly almost 10 years and serving as the chair of the Coalition for a Just New York, citywide alliance of Black elected officials, clergy, activists, fighting for equity in city government and in our schools. So when Reverend Jackson came looking for someone to organize the most complicated state in the nation, he found the man who's already proven he could do it. We are gathered in a house of worship today, and I think that matters because Jesse Jackson was a minister before anything else, before the campaigns, before the conventions, before the negotiations with heads of state. He was a man called to speak truth to power from the pulpit, and that calling never left him. It infused everything he touched. My father understood that. He told me Jesse could motivate and generate movement among people with his preachings and his teachings. That was the gift, not just the politics, the spirit behind the politics, the conviction that justice was not merely a policy goal, it was a moral imperative. And the preacher in him never let the politician forget that. The spirit needs structure, vision needs organization. That 1984 presidential campaign succeeded not only in inspiration, but on infrastructure. My father called on the Brooklyn delegation that he had spent a decade building. Major Owen, Clarence Norman, Frank Boylan, Roger Green, Annette Robinson, Belmanette Montgomery, Reverend Herbert Daughtry, G2 Ilusi, Sam Penn, and so many others. Together, they drove voter registration, they organized precincts, and they delivered delegates. When it was over, my father told me with unmistakable pride, we made a very successful campaign, the largest delegation in the convention. That campaign transformed the Democratic Party's delegate rules from winner takes all to proportional representation, a change that decades later helped Barack Obama win. Attorney General James and so many leaders gathered here today, you are living proof that these two men built together. My father said of Reverend Jackson, being close to him was instructive, impressive, and one of the many cherished moments in my career. I believe Reverend Jackson has finished the course. He ran his race, and what remains is ours to carry. Today, we celebrate one of them, and I ask that we honor them both with our continued. Thank you.
Come on, give her a hand. And let me say, as she talks about Reverend Jackson never leaving the pulpit, I remember that in 1994, when I decided to join the Baptist denomination, and Reverend William Jones, Jenny's father, who I introduced, Jenny's father baptized me at Bethany Baptist Church, me and the whole family. And Reverend Jackson flew in to my baptism. And I think that says a lot. You know, you never get far from the roots. A tree dies when it gets away from its roots. And the fact, I'm gonna preach tomorrow at Bethany Baptist is Africa Day. Stand up, my pastor's in the house, Reverend Dr. Adolphus Lacy. And many of our clergymen, I see Bishop Taylor, let me recognize the ministers that are here. Reverend Dennis Dillon, Bishop Victor Brown, Staten Island. Reverend Arcella Hughes, she's here most Saturdays with us, St. Louis. And I'm missing somebody, it's called Dominique, didn't write him down.
You already know him.
One of the reasons that the church has always been an anchor for the movement is because the church was the first institution that Black folks had. Don't ever forget that when Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation and that we were allowed to go free January 1st, 1863, we had nothing. A lot of people just act like, oh, they got free, everything was cool. We had been 246 years working with no wages, against the law to read and write. Didn't know where our family was, sold our kids to one state and we in another. The only thing we had was the ability to congregate and form the Black church. That's all we had. And out of the Black church came our fraternities, came our businesses, came our politicians. And if you get away from how you started, they will cut you off from the strength that gave you something in the first place. All we had when we walked off that plantation was faith. And what Trump and them are trying to do today is break down our faith in our God and in ourselves. Long as they can convince you you can't win, you won't win. I keep telling people all over the country, I don't know what y'all afraid of Trump. We beat Trump in 2020 with Joe Biden. I grew up in Brownsville. How are you scared of somebody you already beat? Selling wolf tickets. Getting up in the middle of the night. Selling wolf tickets. One of the things that Reverend Jackson always preached was rainbow. And what we practice here at NAN is rainbow. And on Thanksgiving Day, as we were getting ready to go out and feed the homeless and the hungry, we would do it at our headquarters. We're getting ready to move in the next 3 weeks to our new headquarters. And that I stopped in my office and said to Tiff James and the others that I wanted to get Reverend Jackson on the phone. And Dennis, I got Reverend Jackson, they put the phone in his ear, he couldn't speak that well. And I said, Reverend, I want you to hear some words from Tiff James, and I want you to hear some words from Ambassador Gaspar, and I want you to hear some words from the new mayor of the city of New York, part of the rainbow, and he's here this morning, the new mayor of the city of New York, Mayor Zoran Manigan.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Before I begin, I do have to hug the Attorney General. Just give me one moment. I want to say thank you, first and foremost, for inviting me to be here today. And I want to say thank you to the Rev for convening us. Thank you as well to Reverend Bird for allowing us to gather in this sacred space. Thank you, frankly, to everyone who has come today for coming together to grieve, to remember, to honor a man whose greatness shaped this nation. I am truly privileged to be here alongside so many leaders, those that are alongside me, those that are among the pews, because what I see in this room are so many New Yorkers who are inspired time and time again by the leadership of Reverend Jesse Jackson. Truly. Our world feels colder today than it did on Monday evening when Reverend Jackson was still with us. Colder because our great quilt of unity has grown smaller and frayed. The man who held the common thread between his fingers is no longer here to sew us closer together. Colder because we remain in that long, dark night of reaction that Reverend Jackson spoke of in 1988. And yet the end does not feel in sight, as it did when his voice thundered from the stage in Atlanta. Colder because this is no time to be losing leaders. And yet here we stand mourning the man that so many of us turn to for guidance, for wisdom, for solace. But as I look out on a room full of those with feet calloused from marching alongside Reverend Jackson, with throats hoarse from chanting for justice, I see those who do not allow themselves to be consumed by grief, but those who use it as a force to draw us closer to one another. I see New Yorkers who know that hope does not stay alive on its own, but that it is nurtured every day by neighbors taking care of neighbors, strangers standing with strangers, acts of kindness after acts of kindness. When New Yorkers link arms with someone they have never met before and march for the voiceless and the downtrodden, hope is alive. When New Yorkers sacrifice their precious free time in a city where every child can have the education that they deserve, where every family can afford a home and the stability that it holds, where our criminal justice system is fair and our economy is just, when New Yorkers link arms in the fight for those things, hope is alive. And when New Yorkers refuse to hide from the darkness of the long night of reaction, but confront it head on, hope is not only alive, my friends, hope is the light. And we know this, that while Reverend Jackson may not be with us any longer, his purpose has not dimmed. His clarity has not faded. As we work every day towards a New York that delivers dignity for all, towards a nation that rejects ICE's cruelty and violence towards the stranger among us, and towards a society where compassion is not a rarity, where solidarity is not abstract, let the Reverend's words be our guide. Let his leadership drive us to confront the challenges of our time. I return again to what he said at the 1988 Democratic National Convention, in a speech nearly 40 years old, but as fresh as if it was delivered yesterday. If an issue is morally right, it will eventually be political. If we are principled first, our politics will fall in place. Let us refuse to flinch from the hard questions, from the areas of disagreement, from the moments of conflict. Reverend Jackson did not shirk the great battles of his time. He did not keep his boat in the harbor. Neither shall we. I have tried to spend much of this week reading from Reverend Jackson's speeches, his conversations, his reflections, reading from him to understand the way in which we move forward in this city and in this country. And as he spoke so passionately of his constituency, of the damned, the disinherited, the despaired, it was a reminder for all of us of what politics should be, as opposed to what it has become. And I see in his words, and I see in his legacy, and I see in his life a lesson for myself and for all of us of how we can continue to lead in the manner that Reverend Jackson did for 84 years, by serving those with less, by rejecting the powerful forces of inequality wherever they appear, and by keeping the faith that change can come and that it will come. And I want to say thank you, Reverend Sharpton, for giving me the honor of a lifetime to have been able to have that moment speaking to Reverend Jackson. Because too often, when we live in the present, we forget everything that made that present possible. I know know that I would not be standing here were it not for the work of Reverend Jackson and all those that he organized and inspired. And I know that that is the case for so many, because the struggles that he fought, he wrote a playbook that we continue to use today to fight for the working person. And I am so thankful for his legacy, and I'm so thankful to be here alongside other leaders who continue to carry that torch. So thank you for having me here today. Thank you for having me be a part of this same quilt that we speak of. It is an honor, it is a privilege, and I will read myself every day to ensure that my actions and the actions of our city are honoring the actions and the lessons of Reverend Jesse Jackson. Thank you so much.
Mayor Zoran Mondani. And I was with the mayor the other night, and he was telling me that he was reading a lot of Reverend Jackson's works. So I'm gonna give you some more works to read, Mr. Mayor. This is a book never lost by our chairman, Reverend W. Franklin Richardson. Sitting next to you. We're gonna give some of them out. And never lost. We're gonna have this for everybody. Let me say this, and I think it's important. And I don't know if he's got to go, so I don't get offended when folk come and leave. Because I do the same thing to y'all, so we call it an appearance. I know how to do that too.
Yeah.
One of the things that he said, the mayor said, that I think is important, is that as one grows in age, one should grow in wisdom.
Come on now.
And you learn that God has set the universe, Dr. Richardson, in a way that if you really stop and look, is instructive. I fly a lot, travel a lot, and I like to look out the window and look at nature. Sun, if it's night, moon, stars, clouds. We're supposed to be in a solar system of 9 planets. And you never saw Mars bump into Saturn. You never saw the moon bump into the sun. So that means that God formed the universe in perfect order. So if everything in the universe for the thousands of years we've been here, if everything is in order, then why do you think God got to you and made his first mistake? You are not a mistake.
Come on, son.
How you was born, what race you were born, what family you was born, what neighborhood you were born, all of that, none of that was chosen by you. None of us had a multiple choice test to say, I want to be this, I want to be that. You were just born. God had already decided that. Then when you were young and started acclimating to your environment, you were figuring out where God put you. Your job is to figure out what God wants you to do with the gifts and talent he gave you in the environment he put you. Rather than fighting where he put you, you evolve from it or you're going to limit yourself. That's why the older I got, I kept going back. Me and Reverend Jackson, I didn't fight, but I kept going back to him, kept going back to Bill Jones, because I was rooted there. And the problem that we have today in our community is that we are not rooted in the struggles that brought us through. The minute we got a little success, we act like God made a mistake and we tried to become something else. We got in the White House and thought that was the promised land. That was a 4-year lease. Then we turned into an 8-year lease. And every time we made a step forward in our history, there was always a pushback. 64, Civil Rights Act. pushback. 65 Voting Rights Act, pushback. Mrs. King used to talk about how they had to march on Washington, 250,000. Why? What energized the march was the killing of Medgar Evers. That's why some of you, some of you that just cook up theories and don't study history. He's talking about, well, Sharpton and them be using victims to build movement. That's what all the movements was built. Is you take the victims as an example of a system. Medgar Evers got killed in June. The march on Washington was in August. The backlash was 2 months later. They bombed the church in Birmingham. They didn't think because they had one march it was over. They killed them 4 girls in the church in Birmingham just 2 months later. That shamed the nation. And they signed the Civil Rights Act. At the Civil Rights Act signing, Andrew Young told me the story. They were there getting the pens from the president. Signed the bill. They won the Whitney Young Urban League, won the NAACP, Roy Wilkins, won the Dr. King. Said Dr. King leaned over and said, Mr. President, now we need voter protection. We need a Voting Rights Act. And President Johnson said, Dr. King, I use all my political power to get the Civil Rights Act. I don't think I can get that through. And Andrew Young said when they were leaving the White House, Andrew looked at the president, and Dr. King, and said, you hear what the president said? He said, yeah, I heard him, Andy. He said he ain't got no power to get the Voting Rights Act. What are we gonna do? And Chris Hudson, he said, well, I guess we're going back down south and get the president some power. And that's when they went to Selma and started marching. And when they went across that bridge, first Sunday in March, 1965, Dr. King wasn't even there. He was at his home church. His father pastored with him, Ebenezer. And they sprayed and tear gassed and beat down Amelia Boykin, who led the Selma movement, Hosea Williams and John Lewis. And the savagery of that beat is what drove them back in and passed the Voting Rights Act. You must know how to use drama to dramatize your affliction. And if you expect those in power to encourage you, then something wrong with you. I tell young guys and ladies on our staff now, reason that they used to always castigate me is because I was after them. It was permissible to talk about races down south. It was all right, Dr. Richardson, Dr. Bird, talk about Bull Connor. But don't talk about NYPD. Don't talk about these up north, well-dressed, manicured racists. Because then you're up against the media elite and the entertainment industry. So when we started marching, Jacques DeGraff, we're marching up north. They applauded King and them for doing it down south, but don't do that in New York. So when we went and saw what happened in Howard Beach to Michael Griffith, and they said, well, no, they thought that he was breaking in somebody's house. It was a mistake. I said, no, the mistake is that y'all think that neighborhoods we can't go in. I'll prove it was racist. That's when we went and marched out in Howard Beach. And what proved our point is we came out there with about 500. There's about 800 whites out there throwing bricks, calling us the N-word. Same thing happened in Bensonhurst. I became controversial because we ripped the veil off of northern racism. They didn't want the world to see who they were. And one of them was a manicured, well-tailored bigot named Donald Trump. I marched on them in the 90s, and I'm gonna keep on marching, because if you stay on the battlefield, you gonna win. If you don't back down, you gonna win. Look at what's going on. All of their power is crumbling. Supreme Court voting against it. They go in the middle of the night and arrest Prince Andrew in his house. Somewhere I read, if my people who are called, I didn't say if everybody, I said if my people. I'm talking to a specific crowd. If my people called by my name would humble themselves, you got too proud. You forgot where you come from. You got too hardy. But if you humble yourself and pray and turn from your wicked ways, then, right then, I will hear from heaven. I will heal the land. I will heal the land. Jesse, we won't let you down. Jesse, we won't leave the battlefield. Jesse, we won't turn back. Jesse, we won't bow down. Jesse, we won't give in. Jesse, we won't turn around. We come too far. We spent too many nights in jail. We cried too many tears. We gonna keep hope alive. We gonna keep hope alive. We gonna keep hope alive. When I think about how we went to jail against AMP in '69, all the way to now, I held Reverend Jackson's hand Christmas night, not knowing I was saying goodbye. And his son, Jesse Jr., will be on the show today. Tell him to raise his hand and answer yes or no. He said, proud of Al. He raised his hand, yes. Ashley and Dominique was with me. And I thought about how we come through all kinds of struggles. I never would have made it. There's no calculus I should have made it. My daddy wasn't a big preacher. Granddad, I didn't come from that pedigree. Didn't go to Ivy League school. I never would have made it without thee. I would have lost my mind. But now I see he was there for me. Never would have made it. Never would have made it. Never would have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now I see you were there for me. Never would have made it. Never would have made it without you. I would have lost it all. But now you were there for me, and I'm stronger, I'm wiser, I'm better, so much better. When I look back over all it brought me through, I can see that you were the one I held on to.
Without
Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Everybody's singing. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Everybody now. Everybody sing. Everybody sing. I'm opening the doors of the movement. There may be someone here today that hear us on the radio, watch us on TV, but never join National Action Network. You can come right down to me right now. Let us sign you up. No better day than the day we memorialize our patron saint, Reverend Jesse Jackson. Come on, just come right on down now. Don't ask nobody. Just come on. Everybody sing. Come on. Everybody sing. Everybody sing. Yeah. Everybody sing. Come on. Everybody sing. Everybody sing. That's right. One more time, y'all. One more time, y'all. Wait. Everybody sing. Everybody, everybody sing. Come on. Everybody sing. Yeah. Sing it like you mean it. Sing it like you mean it. Everybody sing. Everybody now. Everybody now. Everybody sing. One last time, y'all. One last time, y'all. One last time, y'all. All right, these are our new members. That's why I told you, hold up. I'm a fisherman. I know when there's more fish in the pond. Just watch me. All right, we're going to take and sign them up. I'm going to raise our offering as they sign them up. Y'all follow, we call her Goldie. Follow Goldie. Let us sign you up. Then we'll bring down and induct you into National Action Network. There's a whole lot of new fish up in here. All right, I need to raise our offering. I'm moving real quick. Again, we've already said it, but let's thank our Chief Operating Officer of National Action Network, Reverend Dr. Malcolm Bird. Welcome, pastors, this historic church. Let me tell you, when we decided to leave 145th, come here for Black History Month, that wasn't no accident. This church is where Frederick Douglass, you go to see the museum now, said Frederick Douglass spoke at this church. Sojourner Truth changed her name at the altar of this church to Sojourner Truth. Madam C.J. Walker's funeral was in this building, this church. Paul Robeson was a member of this church. I got a video of him talking about this church. So we're on sacred ground. I want everybody to give me the best of your ability. We got almost 5,000 that's watching on our live stream. I don't know what YouTube is doing in Impact. But those of you that are watching, you can go right on the website where you're on and give on the website. But I need about 15 folk in here today that can give $100 or more to come quickly. I need 100. Don't make me beg. We got company. Reverend Bishop Taylor, $100. Dr. Richardson, $100.
Yeah.
Corey Weiss, $100. Rachel Nordlinger, $100. Bishop Victor Brown, $100. Michael Garner, $100. Reverend Jacques DeGraff, $100. Dr. Jesse Fields, $100. Tamika Mowry, $100. Good to see you. Good to see you. My pastor, Dr. Lacey, $100. Choir, $105. Ruben Diaz, member of our national board, $100. Who? John Royston, $200. Mary Ann Perkins, $100. Richard Tad, $100. Dr. Canton, $300. Who? Chaplain Sandra Mitchell, $100. Louis Papa here every week, $100. $150. Who? Y'all can't talk that fast now. Martin Brampton, $100. Attorney Joel Smelkin, $100. Oh Lord, our Queen Mother, Camille Yarbrough's in the house, talking about history. Come on. Camille Yarbrough, I didn't see her. God bless her. Yeah, let's talk. I'm so glad to see her. Reverend Hughes, here every week, $100. CJ James, $100. My son, the rapper and the activist, $100. Sister Mary Ann Spraggins, who also helped Reverend Jackson form the Wall Street Project, $100. Amplified Voices, $100. Winston Gilchrist, $200. Anonymous, $300. That's all right. If you want to give money, don't want me to call your name, just say anonymous. I know some of y'all in tax trouble. Just come on, give me money. Guardians, $100. All right, 50s, 50. Come on. I got all these hundreds. I know I got some 50s. Cleveland, $50. Come on, Cleveland. Y'all give me some names. Don Jones. Anna Quaalude, $50. Laura Sands, $50. Jamie Bland, head of our New Jersey chapter, getting ready to have a big event. Senator, thank you, I didn't see you. Senator Jackson, $100. Joshua Curtin, $100. Brother Mallory, Stan Mallory, good to see you. Brother David, what you got on? You got on your rainbow top today, I see it. $50. Love Malone, $100. Garvin Core, $100. Anonymous, $50. Yes. Bruce Rich, $50. Kevin Brown, $50. Now, whatever you have, $1, $5, $10, whatever you have, just come on. Everybody, come on. Somebody sitting in your pew that ain't moved, tell them let's go down. Give some money. Bring some extra money.
You don't want to have something like we should get something.
Cassius Rudolph, head of our HBCU tour, my special assistant. He used to work for Reverend Jackson.
That was the end of the
Is everybody giving? Is everybody yelling here? Oh. Some folk coming down the aisle, let them down. I don't want to hear nobody feeling it. Let them hear. Y'all look at the front of my aisle, let the folk come through the yeah, that's right, come on. Whatever you have, come on. Let them through.
go that way.
Come on. Let them through. Wait, us.
So yes, ladies and gents, that was the end of the memorial for Reverend Jesse Jackson. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna keep streaming. I'm gonna walk to 145th and Lenox Avenue. So this is where the tribute was held. That's my son over there. So yes, ladies and gents, we're just gonna keep this streaming going until I get to the 145th bridge. That's Harlem Hospital over there. Harlem Hospital. One 37th Street and Lennox Ave. West 138 and Lennox. As I said, I'm gonna walk to 145th Street. Got to get this cardio in. Let me put this on the tripod. So yes, ladies and gents, welcome to the chat. We're in Harlem, New York. I just came from a tribute that they had for the late Reverend Jesse Jackson. Walking down Lennox Avenue to 145th Street. This is the Fred Samuel Playground. Here on 100 and West 139th and Lennox Ave.
Was at 167.
We in Harlem, ladies and gents. This is what we're gonna do, ladies and gents. We're gonna walk back. I'm gonna walk back into the Bronx opposed to taking the bus. I'm just gonna walk over the bridge. I'm gonna walk over the bridge and get some steps in. Today is a very nice day. It's not too cold. Yep. 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 So yes, we're gonna walk over the 145th Street Bridge into the Bronx. 145th Street Bridge, ladies and gents. That's the East River. So yes, ladies and gents, we're back in the Bronx. I'm about to end this stream in about 3 minutes or so.